thousands of miles of ice, giant creatures roaming the frozen land. A world on the edge of survival. This was Earth during the Ice Ages, where every step was a struggle and every day told a story of power, danger, and wonder. Dare to journey back to a world you've never seen. Good evening. I am the Sleepy Doctor. Before we journey back in time, before we step into a world colder, harsher, and far more dangerous than our own, I want to ask you something simple. If you love adventure, if you crave knowledge, and if you are ready to travel with me through the frozen corridors of history, then please subscribe to this channel and click that little bell so you never miss a single heartbeat of the past. Imagine the Earth, not as you know it, but locked in the icy grip of an age where survival was never guaranteed. Tonight, we are going to unravel the secrets of the Ice Age. A time of giants, a time of monsters, a time where humanity itself teetered on the edge of extinction. Welcome to a journey across the frozen frontier of deep time. Picture this. The world is changing. The skies shift. The seasons grow longer, harsher, more merciless. Rivers that once ran freely begin to freeze. Grasslands turn brittle, brown, then vanish beneath blankets of snow. It is the Pleistocene epoch, stretching from 2.6 million years ago to a mere 11,700 years in the past. In human terms, yesterday. But in geological terms, a vast empire of time. The Earth is not the gentle blue marble you know. No, this is a battlefield. Massive walls of ice, glaciers thicker than mountains, creep across entire continents. They grind stone into powder. They crush forests. They carve valleys. The heartbeat of the planet slows, wrapped in silence and cold. And yet, life persists. Life always persists. Imagine standing in Europe, perhaps 30,000 years ago. The ground trembles beneath the weight of mammoths, towering creatures, shaggy-coated, tusks curling like ivory scimitars. They march in herds across the tundra, their breath steaming like fog. But where there are giants, there are predators. From the shadows emerges the dire wolf, larger and fiercer than any wolf you have ever seen. Its eyes glint with hunger. Its pack moves as one, silent, calculating. And above them all, lurks the saber-toothed cat. Smilodon. Its canines are daggers 7 inches long, perfectly designed for a single brutal purpose: to pierce flesh, to silence prey forever. This is the theater of survival. The curtain rises on an Earth colder, darker, more dangerous. And into this frozen arena steps us, humanity. We were not alone. Other humans, cousins of our kind, walked this icy Earth. Neanderthals in Europe, Denisovans in Asia, and us, Homo sapiens, fragile, thin-skinned, armed with nothing but fire, stone tools, and courage. To live in the Ice Age was to fight every single day against extinction. Imagine the cold biting your bones. Imagine your breath turning to crystals in the air. Imagine standing in a cave, fire flickering against the walls, listening to the howls of wolves outside and wondering, will I see the sunrise? Will my children live another day? The Ice Age was merciless. And yet, without it, we would not be here. The cold sharpened our minds. The struggle forged our resilience. The darkness gave birth to art, to culture, to story. Because when the wind screamed outside the cave, when the glaciers thundered and cracked, our ancestors painted mammoths on the walls. They carved bone flutes. They dreamed. They imagined. And that imagination would change the course of history. But let us wander further. Let us not only see humanity, let us see the creatures that shared this frozen world with us. To the north, stretching across what is now Siberia, Alaska, and Canada, roamed the woolly rhinoceros. Enormous, armored in fur, horns jutting like lances. A beast built for war against the cold. On the American plains, herds of bison thundered across the icebound grasslands. Some were twice the size of modern bison, their massive humps and horns weapons against predators. And above them soared birds of prey with wingspans greater than a man is tall, condors, vultures, seekers of flesh. But perhaps most terrifying of all was not a predator of fang or claw, but the ice itself. Glaciers moved like armies, reshaping the land. They carved the Great Lakes. They sculpted valleys. They forced rivers into new paths. They dictated where life could exist and where it would perish. Imagine walking across North America then. A wall of ice, towering, blinding, endless, blocks your way. You look up and it is not the sky you see. It is a mountain of frozen death, creaking, moaning, breaking apart with roars like thunder. The earth was alive, and the earth was merciless. And yet, in this frozen world, something extraordinary was happening. Something hidden, powerful, unstoppable. It was not just a story of survival. It was the story of transformation. Because within the Ice Age, seeds were being planted. Seeds that would grow into civilizations, empires, and the very world we live in today. But to see that, to feel it, we must travel deeper into the ice. The night is endless. The wind howls like a beast across the tundra. The stars above are sharp as blades, glittering against the black sky. And down below, huddled around a fire wrapped in furs and shadows, sit the hunters of the Ice Age. These are not modern men. They are lean, scarred by the cold, faces painted with ash, eyes reflecting the firelight. In their hands, spears tipped with sharpened stone. At their sides, tools of bone and flint. Their every breath is survival. Their every heartbeat a gamble. Because out there, in the dark, something stirs. A herd of mammoths, massive shadows moving across the frozen steppe. Each one weighs more than 10 men. Each step shakes the earth. They are food. They are warmth. They are survival. But they are also danger. One mistake, one misstep, and the hunter becomes the hunted. The tribe waits. Their fire smolders low. The cold bites their skin, but their blood pounds with anticipation. They have watched these mammoths for days, tracking their every move. Tonight, the hunt begins. Hunting in the Ice Age was not reckless. It was art. It was calculation. Because every spear had to count, every trap had to succeed. A failed hunt meant starvation. Imagine the scene. The hunters circle the herd. Some hide in the snow, disguising themselves beneath white furs. Others wait downwind, crouched, still as stone. They whisper to each other in a language half gesture, half sound. And then, a signal. A cry pierces the night. The hunters surge forward. Spears fly through the air. The mammoths trumpet in rage, their tusks slicing the sky. One stumbles, pierced in its flank. Another charges, scattering hunters like leaves in a storm. Chaos. Roar. Blood. Snow turning red beneath the feet of giants. But the hunters press on. Their courage is not born from strength, it is born from necessity. For them, this kill is the difference between life and death. And finally, the beast falls. The earth shakes as a mammoth collapses, its breath wheezing, steaming against the ice. Silence follows. Only the wind remains. The tribe erupts and cries not of victory, but of survival. By the flickering fire, the hunters carve the prize. Knives of flint sliced through fur and flesh. The smell of blood and smoke fills the night. Children wait, eyes wide with hunger. Women sing, voices trembling in the cold. Every part of the mammoth has meaning. Meat for food, hide for clothing, bones for tools, tusks for art, for carvings that will echo through thousands of years. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is taken for granted. Because in the Ice Age, nature gives rarely and takes often. Picture the warmth of the fire. The tribe eats, their bodies finally filling with strength. But even in this moment of reprieve, they know, tomorrow the struggle begins again. But let us not romanticize. Hunting was not always triumphant. More often than not, hunters failed. And when they failed, the consequences were deadly. Wolves followed the tribes. Packs of dire wolves, their eyes glowing in the darkness, waiting for scraps or for weakness. Hyenas too, enormous and savage, ready to steal the kill. And then, there were the cats. Smilodon, the saber-tooth, silent, patient, ruthless. While humans hunted mammoths, the saber-tooth hunted humans. Imagine walking through the snow, alone, spear in hand. You feel the silence pressing in. And then, nothing. No warning. A flash of muscle, fur, fangs. The saber-tooth leaps. 7-inch canines crash into your body. The snow drinks your blood. This was life in the Ice Age. Every shadow could hide a predator. Every step could be your last. So how did we survive? Not through claws. Not through muscle. not through speed. We survived through the mind. The spear thrower, the atlatl, became a revolution. A simple piece of carved wood that extended the arm, hurling a spear farther, faster, with deadly force. With it, humans brought down beasts many times their size. And then, fire. The greatest weapon of all. With fire, humans claimed the night. With fire, they drove away predators, hardened spear tips, cooked meat, and told stories that shaped identity. But most powerful of all was cooperation. No human alone could kill a mammoth. But together, with planning, with patience, with courage, they could. And this was the difference. This was what set us apart. Yet survival is not only about food and fire. It is also about meaning. Deep in the caves of France and Spain, flickering torchlight reveals paintings of mammoths, bison, horses, and hunters. These were not idle doodles. They were maps. They were prayers. They were stories told in shadow and pigment, meant to capture the power of the hunt, to pass knowledge to the next generation. And listen, if you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. The low hum of voices chanting. The crackle of fire against stone walls. The pounding of drums made from skin stretched across bone. This is where humanity truly began. Not just as animals fighting for survival, but as storytellers, as dreamers, as creatures who could imagine a world beyond the ice. But the Ice Age did not stay still. The glaciers advanced. The glaciers retreated. The earth trembled under cycles of cold and brief warmth. And each change brought new challenges, new dangers, and new mysteries. In the next chapter we will uncover not just the hunters, but the hunted, the creatures that rose and fell, the monsters that vanished into extinction, the beasts whose bones still whisper from beneath the frozen ground. The Ice Age was not silent. It was not empty. It was alive with thunder, roars, and cries that shook the frozen earth. When we think of monsters, we imagine creatures of myth, dragons, demons, leviathans. But the true monsters walked beside us, breathing the same air, leaving their prints in the same snow. And in many ways, they were more terrifying than anything born of legend. Let us walk among them. Let us stand face to face with the giants and killers of the frozen earth. The first monster is one we know well, the woolly mammoth. Its name echoes across history, carved into bone, painted on cave walls, whispered in stories. Picture it. A creature towering over you more than 10 feet at the shoulder. Its tusks, ivory scimitars, curve forward in great arcs longer than a man is tall. Its body, wrapped in a shaggy coat of fur, shakes frost into the wind with every movement. The mammoth was both friend and foe. It was food, shelter, and warmth, but also danger, destruction, and death. For early humans, hunting one was like fighting a living avalanche. And yet, without the mammoth, survival may have been impossible. Even today, frozen mammoths lie entombed beneath Siberian ice, their flesh preserved, their eyes still staring across 20,000 years. But mammoths were not the only titans. Lurking in the shadows was a predator designed for a single purpose: to kill. Smilodon, the saber-tooth. Its body was compact, muscular, built for ambush, not chase. It did not sprint like a cheetah, it struck like a guillotine. And its weapons? 2 canines, 7 inches long, blades of bone sharper than knives. Imagine standing in the tall grass of the Ice Age plains. Silence. A rustle. And then, impact. The saber-tooth leaps, jaws open, fangs slicing down toward your throat. It does not roar. It does not scream. It kills in silence. This was no ordinary cat. This was the embodiment of patience, precision, and death. Deeper into the shadows, in the cold and echoing mouths of caves, lived another giant, the cave bear. Massive, towering up to 12 feet when it reared, it dwarfed modern bears. Its claws could shred flesh and bone. Its weight could crush a man without effort. And it ruled the dark. Many caves we find today are lined with the bones of cave bears. Some were hunted by humans. Others hunted us. 4 Ice Age tribes, stumbling upon a hibernating bear was a death sentence. One swipe and the fight was over. Yet, strangely, the cave bear was also sacred. Some human tribes collected its skulls, arranging them deep within caves as if in ritual, as if acknowledging the power of the monster that shared their world. Across the tundra roamed another colossus, the woolly rhinoceros. Covered in thick fur, armed with a horn that could impale a horse, it was a beast built to endure the cold and defend against predators. But its greatest enemy was not the saber-tooth, nor the wolf. It was us. Humans carved its image into ivory and painted it on stone. Its horn was both weapon and prize. To face a woolly rhinoceros was to gamble with death. But for humans desperate to survive, every gamble was worth the risk. And then there were the wolves. But not the wolves you know. Dire wolves were larger, heavier, their jaws stronger, their bite more powerful. They hunted in packs, moving like phantoms across the snow. One moment the tundra is silent. The next, you are surrounded by glowing eyes. They did not fear humans. They followed them, stalked them, attacked when weakness showed. And yet, some wolves began to draw closer, not as predators but as companions. The Ice Age may have been the birth of a friendship. Wolves that became dogs, hunters that became partners. Together they changed the story of survival forever. Look to the skies and you would see shadows unlike any today. Condors with wingspans stretching over 12 feet. Vultures circling endlessly above herds of dying beasts. And in Australia, far from the northern ice, lived Genornis, a towering, flightless bird taller than a man, heavy as a lion, armed with crushing beak and claw. To face such a bird was to face living thunder. But some monsters remain half-hidden, their bones shattered, their names lost. Gigantic ground sloths, towering over trees, their claws capable of tearing through bark or flesh. Short-faced bears, faster than horses, larger than any predator alive today. And strange, ghostly creatures that vanished before our ancestors even learned to write their names. The Ice Age was not merely cold. It was a bestiary. A living, breathing nightmare where survival demanded courage, cunning, and community. But nothing lasts forever. Slowly the monsters began to fall. The mammoths dwindled. The saber-tooth vanished. The cave bear disappeared into legend. What? Some say it was us, our relentless hunting, our cunning traps, our hunger for survival. Others say it was the earth itself, warming, shifting, melting the ice, reshaping the land until the giants could endure no more. Perhaps it was both. Perhaps we were not just survivors of the Ice Age, but executioners of its monsters. But while the beasts fell, humanity rose. Through fire, through stone, through story we endured. And as the ice began to melt, as rivers broke free and forests spread, something extraordinary stirred. Civilization was about to awaken. The Ice Age did not end with silence. It ended with a roar. The great glaciers, those mountains of frozen death, began to retreat. Slowly at first, mile by mile, century by century. But then, with sudden fury, they collapsed. Rivers swelled. Valleys drowned. Oceans rose. The earth itself was breaking free of its icy chains. Imagine it. A wall of ice taller than a skyscraper, melting, cracking, crashing into the sea. The sound was not thunder, it was something greater, something older. It was the sound of a world being reborn. The Ice Age was ending. But for those who lived through it, the melting was not salvation. It was chaos. When the glaciers melted, they unleashed cataclysmic floods, waters so vast, so violent, they reshaped entire continents. In North America, the melting of the Laurentide ice sheet created glacial lakes the size of seas. One of them, Lake Missoula, held more water than some of today's great oceans. And when its icy dam broke, the flood tore across the land with unstoppable force. Picture it. A wall of water hundreds of feet high. Boulders ripped from the ground like pebbles. Forests uprooted in a heartbeat. The earth itself scarred forever. The scars remain today, the channeled scablons of Washington state, carved by torrents so powerful no human alive today has ever witnessed their equal. And these floods did not come once. They came again and again and again. Every time the ice weakened, every time the water broke free, the world was remade. As the glaciers melted, the oceans rose. Islands vanished. Coastlines shifted. Places where mammoths once roamed were swallowed by the sea. Imagine walking across a land bridge that connected Asia to North America, the Bering Land Bridge. For thousands of years, humans and animals crossed it freely. But then, the waters rose. the bridge drowned, and the continents were divided forever. In Europe, fertile plains were swallowed. Doggerland, a rich hunting ground between Britain and mainland Europe, vanished beneath the waves. Villages, forests, entire worlds disappeared, leaving only whispers beneath the sea. The earth was changing faster than ever before, and humanity had no choice but to change with it. But as the ice melted, the monsters of the Ice Age began to vanish. The mammoths grew fewer. The woolly rhinoceros disappeared. The saber-tooth faded into memory. Was it the warming world that killed them? Was it the rise of humanity, hunters armed with sharper weapons, hungrier than ever? Or was it both, working together, an unstoppable tide of change? Whatever the truth, the age of giants ended. And in their place, we rose. The melting of the world did more than kill monsters. It created opportunity. Where ice once lay, rivers flowed. Where tundra spread, forests bloomed. Where barren plains stretched, fertile soil appeared. And into this new world, humanity planted seeds. Literally. It began quietly, wild grasses gathered, then cultivated. Seeds saved, planted, grown. Slowly the hunter became the farmer. Villages rose where camps once stood. Fields replaced the endless chase of the hunt. Domesticated animals stood where mammoths once roamed. This was the birth of agriculture. The first step toward civilization. Picture it, a cluster of huts built from mud and reed, smoke curling into the morning sky. Children run between fields of grain. Goats bleat in pens. Women grind seeds into flour, while men sharpen tools of stone and bone. This was a revolution. For the first time in history, humans could stay in one place. No longer bound to the migration of herds, no longer slaves to the ice. And with permanence came culture. Stories grew longer. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next. And slowly the seeds of civilization began to sprout. But even as the world warmed, the memory of the Ice Age lingered. In myths of great floods, in legends of monsters, in stories of fire, survival, and gods who ruled the frost. Perhaps the Ice Age never truly ended. Perhaps it lives on in our blood, in the way we fear the dark, the way we gather around fire, the way we dream of giants. For though the glaciers melted, their shadow remains. And so the Ice Age gave way to a new world, warmer, greener, filled with promise. But the story is not finished. Because within the melting, within the floods, within the death of monsters, lies a question. What if the Ice Age returns? The Earth has frozen before. The Earth will freeze again. The Ice Age may feel distant, an echo from a forgotten world. But what if I told you it could return? The Earth has frozen not once but many times. Ice ages are not accidents, they are part of the heartbeat of the planet. Driven by the tilt of the Earth, the pull of the moon, the breath of the oceans. The last great ice age ended just 11,700 years ago. A blink in geological time. And already whispers of the cycle can be heard. Imagine it. A world sliding back into cold. Winters stretching longer. Summers failing. Crops dying. Cities drowning in snow. Civilization, so proud, so vast, brought to its knees by the same force that once humbled mammoths and saber-tooths. Scientists know, the Earth should be cooling, heading slowly toward another glacial cycle. But something is different. Something has changed. Humanity has struck a match. Our fire, our industry, our machines, our hunger, has warmed the world instead. For now, the return of the ice is held at bay. But the question remains, for how long? Because nature does not forget. And the ice always returns. But humanity never forgot the cold. Even when the glaciers melted, their shadow haunted our stories. The Norse spoke of Fimbul winter, a great and endless winter that would precede the end of the world. The Greeks told of an age when Zeus buried the earth in snow to punish mankind. The First Nations of North America remembered floods and giants, beasts and hunters carved into their legends. Everywhere, echoes of the Ice Age lingered in myth. Perhaps the gods of frost and fire were not born of imagination at all, but memory. Memory of nights huddled in caves, of eyes glowing in the dark, of the earth itself groaning beneath the weight of glaciers. Even today we carry that memory. Why do we fear the dark? Why do we gather around fire? Why do we tell stories of monsters, dragons, giants? Because once long ago they were real. The Ice Age ended, but it never truly left. Look around you. The world you know was shaped by it. The Great Lakes carved by glaciers. The valleys of Europe etched by frozen rivers. The fertile soils of farmlands, gifts of melting ice. Even our bodies carry its mark. Pale skin, adapted to weak sunlight in frozen lands. Broad noses, narrow noses, shaped by the air of ice and tundra. Our very DNA is a story written in frost. And not just our bodies. Our minds. The cooperation that allowed us to hunt mammoths is the same cooperation that built cities. The fire that kept us alive in caves is the same fire that lights our world today. The stories painted on cave walls are the ancestors of every book, every movie, every dream we share. The Ice Age was not just an age of cold. It was the crucible of humanity. Without it, we would not exist. The Ice Age was not only land and snow, it was sea and storm. Picture the oceans, lower than today, locked away inside walls of ice. The shoreline stretched farther, exposing vast plains where animals roamed and hunters walked. Beringia, the land bridge between Asia and North America, was not sea at all but endless tundra. And within the oceans themselves, monsters swam. The great orcas of the Ice Age, larger than their modern kin, hunted seals and even whales among the floating ice. Sharks prowled the colder seas, adapted to dark waters where the sun barely touched. And in the Arctic, the narwhal, the unicorn of the sea, pierced the freezing depths with its spiraled tusk. The oceans shaped migration, trade, and survival. They were not barriers, they were highways. Highways of ice and salt, where life thrived even in the coldest currents. The Ice Age was the sculptor of the earth. Every mountain you climb, every valley you cross, every lake you sail, many were carved by the slow, merciless hands of glaciers. The Alps, the Rockies, the Himalayas, all bear the scars of ice. Imagine a river of frozen rock, miles thick, grinding mountains into dust. It moves slowly, yes, an inch a year, a foot a year. But over millennia, it transforms the world. When the glaciers melted, they left behind treasures. Soil, rich and dark, feeding the farms that would one day sustain civilizations. Rivers, redirected, giving birth to fertile valleys. And lakes, vast and blue, where once only stone and frost existed. The Ice Age gave us the landscapes we call home. Without it, the earth would be unrecognizable. We often speak of tools, fire, and hunting. But survival was more than spears and shelters. It was knowledge. The Ice Age forced humans to innovate in ways we can still feel today. We learned to sew with bone needles, stitching hides into clothing that defied the cold. We crafted snowshoes to walk across frozen landscapes. We built sleds to carry heavy loads across endless tundra. And we learned to plan. Food stored for lean months. Caves marked with symbols. Routes mapped by memory, passed down in song and story. This was not just survival. It was the birth of ingenuity. Every invention, every spark of creativity, was sharpened by the cold. The Ice Age was not only a trial, it was a teacher. The end of the Ice Age was not gentle. It was a graveyard. As the world warmed, species fell one by one. Mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, saber-toothed cats, ground sloths, giants that had ruled the earth for millions of years, vanished in only a few centuries. The debate rages still. Was it humanity's relentless hunting? Was it the chaos of climate, the melting of ice, the rise of forests where once there had been plains? Or was it both, a deadly partnership of man and nature? What we do know is this: when the giants fell, the balance shifted. Forests grew where herds once grazed. Predators vanished and prey multiplied. The earth reset itself, creating a new order, a new stage for history. But in their bones, in their frozen remains, the giants whisper still. They remind us that nothing, no creature, no empire, no age, lasts forever. The Ice Age did not forgive weakness. It did not reward the faint of heart. It demanded warriors. Not warriors in shining armor, wielding swords and shields, but warriors of flesh and bone, wrapped in furs, armed with fire and courage, facing the fury of a frozen world. Imagine yourself standing on the tundra 30,000 years ago. The horizon is endless, white and gray. The wind cuts through you like knives. The cold is so deep it burns. Around you, your tribe huddles together, every breath a cloud of frost. Ahead lies the hunt. Behind, only the dark mouth of your cave. You are not safe. You are never safe. The mammoths march in the distance. The dire wolves stalk the shadows. Above you, vultures circle, waiting for death. But you must go on, because the Ice Age does not wait. This is the story of the Ice Warriors, our ancestors who turned survival into an art, who carved a place for humanity in a world designed to destroy us. To live in the Ice Age was to live between extremes. One moment, the fire warms your hands. The next, a storm howls across the plains and buries your camp beneath snow. Every day was a battle. A battle for food. A battle against predators. A battle against the cold itself. The Ice Warriors fought not with brute strength, but with adaptability. They invented clothing layered from hides, sewn with bone needles so fine they still astonish archaeologists today. They built shelters of mammoth bone, covered in skins insulated with snow. They carried fire with them like treasure, embers wrapped in bark, never letting the flame die. Every invention, every adaptation, was a weapon in the war against extinction. The hunt was the battlefield of the Ice Age. A mammoth was not prey, it was a fortress of flesh, tusks like spears, a mind as cunning as any predator. To bring one down, hunters had to be soldiers, generals, tacticians. They stalked herds for days, studying patterns, learning weaknesses. They set traps, pits dug in frozen earth, cliffs where panicked beasts might fall. They coordinated in silence, gestures replacing words, patience replacing fear. And when the time came, they attacked as one. Spears rained down like arrows. Fires were lit to drive the herd. Some hunters died. Some were trampled beneath tons of muscle and bone. But if the tribe succeeded, the reward was survival. Every kill was victory. Every feast a triumph. And every scar earned in the hunt was a badge of honor. But sometimes the hunters became the hunted. The saber-toothed cat was the perfect assassin. It could vanish into tall grass or forest shadows, waiting for hours, silent as death. When it struck, there was no time to scream. Only blood in the snow. The cave lion, larger than any modern lion, hunted in prides across the plains. Imagine the terror of hearing their roars echo across the tundra, knowing your tribe was exposed, your fire too small to keep them back. Dire wolves, working in packs, tested the edges of every camp. They stole food, dragged children, tore through the weak. The Ice Warriors did not live above nature. They lived inside its jaws. And yet, they endured. Through courage. Through fire. Through the bonds of tribe and family. Against beasts that seemed unstoppable, the Ice Warriors proved their worth. The arsenal of the Ice Age was simple but deadly. The spear, tipped with flint or bone, was the first line of offense. But it was the spear thrower, the atlatl, that changed everything. A carved piece of wood that acted as an extension of the arm, it turned human hunters into long-range warriors, their spears flying farther and faster than ever before. Later came the bow and arrow, delicate yet powerful, allowing hunters to strike from a distance, silent and precise. But perhaps the greatest weapon was not of stone or bone. It was fire. With fire, humans could drive predators from caves. With fire, they could harden weapons, cook food, and survive storms that would have killed them otherwise. Fire was not just warmth. It was dominance. It was the line between man and beast. No warrior fought alone. In the Ice Age, unity was life. Every tribe was a brotherhood, every hunt a mission of trust. The strongest hunters could not survive without the gatherers who fed the tribe, the firekeepers who guarded the flame, the elders who remembered the ways of the ancestors. Children learned quickly. By 10 years old, a child might know how to set traps, skin hides, find safe paths across the ice. By 12 they were hunters. By 15, warriors. The tribe was the army of survival. Each member a soldier in the endless war against cold and hunger. But even warriors need meaning. Even warriors need spirit. In the caves, deep in the earth where firelight flickered, humans painted their world. Mammoths, bison, horses, hunters with spears, they were more than pictures. They were prayers. Prayers for victory. Prayers for strength. Prayers for survival. Skulls of bears were arranged in circles. Bones of mammoths were carved with symbols. Perhaps they were trophies. Perhaps they were talismans. Perhaps they were whispers to gods we can never name. The Ice Warriors did not fight alone. They fought with spirits, ancestors, gods of fire and frost. And in that faith they found the courage to face another day. Every scar became a story. Every hunt became a legend. Every fallen warrior became a memory carried in song and tale. Around the fire, children listened to stories of great hunts, of battles against lions, of ancestors who defied storms and monsters. These stories were not entertainment. They were lessons. How to hunt. How to survive. How to live with courage when the world itself seemed determined to erase you. The ice warriors were not only fighters of flesh. They were fighters of the spirit. And in their stories they became immortal. What does it mean to be an ice warrior? It means never giving up even when the night is endless. It means standing shoulder to shoulder with your tribe even when the odds are impossible. It means inventing, creating, imagining even in the face of hunger and despair. The ice warriors were not heroes of myth. They were real. They were our ancestors. And without them none of us would be here. Their blood runs in our veins. Their courage lives in our bones. Their fire still burns in our stories. When we look at the ruins of the Ice Age, the bones of mammoths, the cave paintings, the frozen remains, we are not just looking at history. We are looking at ourselves. The Ice Age created warriors not of conquest but of survival. And through their battles, their courage, their unity, they carved humanity's path through the frost. But the ice warriors did not stand alone. They shared their world with mysteries still buried in snow, with secrets of civilizations drowned by melting seas, with myths of lands lost forever. Beneath the ice lies more than frozen ground. Beneath it lies memory, secrets, echoes of a world we may never fully know. The Ice Age was not just a time of survival, hunters, and giants. It was also a stage upon which civilizations might have emerged, fragile, fleeting, and mostly lost to time. Imagine a continent now submerged beneath the sea. Doggerland, the land bridge that once connected Britain to mainland Europe, was a lush expanse of forests, rivers, and plains. Herds of mammoths, reindeer, and aurochs grazed where now only the North Sea waves crash. Humans walked these lands freely. They hunted, they gathered, and perhaps they began to settle. And then, it was gone. Rising seas swallowed forests and villages. Entire ways of life vanished beneath water, leaving only stories, whispers, and the occasional artifact pulled from the depths by modern fishermen. Could civilizations have existed before the ice fully melted? Perhaps small villages clustered along rivers, the first stirrings of organized society. Archaeologists have discovered evidence of human settlements in what are now submerged lands across the globe. Stone tools, remnants of hearths, scattered bones, all hints of life now claimed by the ocean. And in our myths we remember them. Legends of Atlantis, for example. A mighty civilization drowned by a flood, lost forever. Could it have been inspired by memories of rising seas at the end of the Ice Age? Perhaps. Other cultures speak of great floods, of lands disappearing beneath water, of ancestral homes swallowed by the seas. Could these stories be echoes of Doggerland, Beringia, or other lost lands? Every myth is a shadow of reality. Every legend, a fragment of history we may never fully recover. The retreating glaciers also created isolation. When the ice receded, rivers and mountains divided human populations. Some groups were trapped on islands, cut off from neighbors. Others survived in valleys surrounded by snow-capped peaks. Isolation fostered unique cultures, languages, and skills. Some tribes developed intricate tool-making techniques. Others specialized in art, music, and ritual. But isolation also brought danger. Food became scarce. Disease spread unchecked. Extreme winters could wipe out entire communities. These lost civilizations were not empires of stone and metal. They were communities of resilience. They adapted to extremes, innovated in ways we can barely imagine, and left traces that we are only beginning to understand. Archaeological finds hint at even stranger possibilities. In Siberia, frozen remains of humans and animals have been uncovered, perfectly preserved for tens of thousands of years. In some caves, ancient tools lie beside the bones of woolly mammoths, suggesting that humans might have built temporary settlements in extreme cold. Beneath melting permafrost, scientists discover artifacts, spears, ornaments, even carvings, that challenge our understanding of Ice Age societies. Were there networks of trade between distant tribes? Did humans share knowledge across vast frozen landscapes? We may never know for sure. Much of this world is lost, hidden beneath ice, mud, and ocean waves. And yet, the fragments we uncovered tell a story. The Ice Age was not just a time of survival. It was also a time of ingenuity, adaptation, and civilization struggling to emerge. Humans remember. Even when the land disappears, stories survive. Could the great floods of the Ice Age have inspired legends that traveled across continents? Could submerged lands have sparked tales of golden cities lost beneath water? Every culture carries echoes of this past. The Mesopotamian flood myths, stories of sunken cities in the Pacific. Norse tales of Fimbulwinter, a great winter that reshaped the world. Perhaps these myths are not mere imagination. Perhaps they are the memory of ancestors who watched the world transform, who saw forests drowned, rivers swell, and homes vanish beneath ice and sea. What can we learn from civilizations lost beneath ice and water? Adaptation is survival. Those who could innovate, relocate, and endure lived. Those who could not vanished. Memory shapes culture. Even if their cities are gone, stories preserve knowledge, caution, and wisdom. The earth is unforgiving. Rising waters, shifting climates, and geological upheavals can erase entire societies in a heartbeat. Our modern world, with its coastal cities and fragile ecosystems, echoes the past more than we realize. The Ice Age teaches us that even small changes in climate can have catastrophic effects on human civilization. Close your eyes and imagine them. Families huddled in caves or timber huts. Children playing in snow while parents prepare food from mammoths and reindeer. Elders teaching stories, songs, and survival skills. Traders or travelers crossing icy plains, carrying tools, knowledge, and seeds for the next generation. Artists carving designs into bone or stone, leaving messages that might survive 20,000 years or more. These people were warriors of survival, dreamers of the impossible, and pioneers in a frozen world. We may never know their names. We may never see their faces. But in every artifact, every buried tool, every myth, their spirit endures. The Ice Age was not just a battle of survival. It was a battle of the mind. In a world of endless white, where the wind could freeze your bones in minutes, where monsters roamed the shadows and every meal was a gamble, humans had to think differently. They had to imagine, plan, and dream. The Ice Age mind was a mind of extremes, fierce, inventive, and deeply spiritual. Close your eyes and picture a cave in the far north. Outside, the wind shrieks like a living thing. Snow drifts over the entrance, blocking the sun. The world is white, gray, and merciless. Inside there is warmth. Fire crackles, sending flickering shadows across rough stone walls. Around it, humans huddle, hunters, gatherers, children, elders. Their eyes reflect the flames. Their breath forms clouds in the cold air. And on the walls there are images: mammoths, bison, horses, lions. Some painted in red ochre, some in black charcoal. Others carved into stone or bone. This is the mind at work. Not merely recording the world. Not merely reproducing what is seen, but imagining, symbolizing, telling a story. Why did humans paint these images? Why did they carve, sculpt, and color? Some say it was ritual. Some say it was magic. A way to ensure the hunt succeeded, to honor the animals they depended on, to communicate with spirits. Some say it was memory, a way to preserve knowledge for the next generation. Whatever the reason, the effect is undeniable. The Ice Age mind was capable of abstract thought, planning, and symbolism. These are the foundations of culture, of civilization itself. A hunter standing before a painted mammoth might see more than a beast. He might see life, death, and the thin line between them. He might see power, danger, and the hope of mastery over his world. The Ice Age mind was also musical. Flutes carved from bones, often from birds or mammoths, have been discovered in caves across Europe. Hollow reeds were fashioned into instruments. Percussion was found in the form of stones or clapping hands. Imagine sitting in the dark hundreds of generations ago, listening to music echoing off cave walls. The sound vibrates through your chest. It connects you to your tribe, to the hunt, to the spirits of the forest and the ice. Music was not entertainment. It was communication, meditation, and ritual all in one. It reinforced bonds, shared emotion, and carried warnings or prayers to unseen powers. The Ice Age mind sought meaning in mystery. Darkness in the cave, flickering firelight, and altered states, brought on by fasting, cold, or plants, might have induced visions. Hallucinations were perhaps interpreted as encounters with spirits, ancestors, or animals. These experiences shaped decisions: when to hunt, where to travel, when to migrate. They created myths and legends, building the foundations of religion. Even fear had a purpose. Fear of predators, fear of storms, fear of darkness. It sharpened the mind, forced creativity, and demanded strategy. The Ice Age mind was not naive. It was hyper-aware, calculating, yet capable of wonder. Stories were central to survival. Around the fire, elders recounted tales of hunts, of predators, of great floods and monstrous beasts. Children learned strategies, geography, and tribal laws through these narratives. Stories preserved knowledge in a way that no tool or bone could. And stories inspired imagination. They allowed humans to conceive of worlds beyond the ice, beyond death, beyond themselves. In many ways, storytelling was the ultimate weapon. It allowed humans to survive not only physically but mentally, to plan for generations yet unborn. The Ice Age mind was also inventive. Stone tools were shaped with precision. Spears, atlatls, and knives show understanding of leverage, material strength, and geometry. Clothing was sewn with intricate stitching. Hides were treated, layered, and crafted for warmth. Shelters were built to withstand blizzards, with knowledge of wind patterns, snow accumulation, and thermal insulation. Every tool was an extension of thought. Every invention a victory over the cold. The Ice Age mind was spiritual. Burials with ornaments, animal bones, and pigments indicate beliefs in life after death, in spirits, and perhaps in gods or cosmic forces. Caves might have been sacred spaces, places to commune with powers beyond comprehension. Symbols and art suggest an understanding of cycles, of life, death, and rebirth. In facing a world that could kill at any moment, belief was not luxury. It was necessity. Faith gave courage. Faith gave hope. Faith gave meaning. The Ice Age mind marks the dawn of human consciousness as we know it. The ability to plan, to create art, to tell stories, to imagine invisible worlds, these are the hallmarks of modern thought. Ice Age humans were the first philosophers, artists, and scientists in their own right. They asked the fundamental questions. How can I survive? What does it mean to live? What comes after death? Through the frost, the darkness, the monsters, and the storms, they built not only tools and shelters, but minds capable of shaping the future. The Ice Age mind survived not just by strength or fire, but by imagination. It saw possibilities where others saw only cold. It found hope where others saw despair. And it created culture where there was only survival. But the Ice Age was ending. As glaciers melted and oceans rose, humans faced a new challenge, adapting their brilliant minds to a warming, changing world. The Ice Age is gone. The glaciers have retreated. The mammoths are silent. The caves are empty of hunters and artists. And yet, the Ice Age still speaks. Its lessons are buried in stone, carved into bone, whispered by the wind across the tundra. Its echoes survive in our blood, our stories, our fears, and our ingenuity. To understand the Ice Age is to understand ourselves, and to understand the future that awaits us. The first lesson of the Ice Age is simple. Survival demands adaptation. Humans faced storms, predators, scarcity, and cold beyond imagination. And yet we endured. We learned to innovate. We built fire, shelters, and tools. We formed communities and shared knowledge. Today our challenges are different: climate change, deforestation, pandemics, but the principle remains the same. Adaptability is survival. The Ice Age teaches us to observe, to plan, to work together, and to innovate in ways that ensure not only survival but flourishing. In the Ice Age, no one survived alone. Every tribe was a collective. Every hunt required coordination. Every fire needed guardians. Community was not optional, it was essential. In our modern world, isolation can be deadly in different ways. Social cohesion, cooperation, and empathy remain critical for overcoming global crises. The Ice Age reminds us that humans are strongest together, and that our success as a species has always depended on unity. The Ice Age was ruthless, yet it also demanded respect. Hunters had to know their prey intimately. They understood migration patterns, animal behavior, and the rhythms of the seasons. Every action had consequences. Overhunt and starvation would follow. Today we face a similar challenge. Climate change, species extinction, and habitat destruction are our modern glaciers. We must learn from our ancestors, respect the planet, understand its limits, and act in harmony with its systems, or face catastrophe. The Ice Age forced humans to think creatively under extreme pressure. Need to stay warm? Sow furs. Need to hunt larger prey? Invent the otlotl. Need to cross frozen rivers? Make sleds and snowshoes. Need to survive darkness? Paint, sing, and tell stories. Pressure breeds invention. Constraints fuel creativity. In our time, with new technology and global challenges, the same principle applies. The Ice Age shows that humans can thrive even in impossible conditions, if we think boldly and act wisely. The Ice Age was also the crucible of human culture. Cave paintings, carvings, and rituals preserved not just survival techniques, but memory, identity, and meaning. Our ancestors understood that stories endure where tools do not. That culture shapes behavior, decisions, and cohesion. Today we inherit that legacy. Art, literature, music, and ritual continue to teach, inspire, and unite us. The Ice Age reminds us, our minds, our stories, and our culture are as critical to survival as any weapon or shelter. As the Ice Age ended, humanity faced a new reality: rising seas, shifting climates, and landscapes transformed by melting ice. Today the challenges are different but strikingly familiar: global warming, rising oceans, extreme weather. The lesson is clear. Our species has always survived by observing patterns, predicting changes, and preparing for the future. Ignoring these lessons is dangerous. Heeding them could determine whether we thrive or falter. The Ice Age was terrifying. Predators lurked in shadows. Glaciers loomed like walls of death. Storms could kill in hours. Yet humans endured. Fear did not paralyze them, it sharpened them. They acted despite fear, trusted their tribe, and harnessed courage as a weapon. Our modern world, too, requires courage. Facing climate change, pandemics, or social upheaval demands bravery, ingenuity, and action. The Ice Age teaches us that courage is not absence of fear, but mastery of it. From the frozen tundra we learn humility. From the vanished mammoths, we learn responsibility. From the buried civilizations, we learn respect for time and legacy. The Ice Age is more than history. It is a mirror. It shows us who we were, who we are, and who we could become. Every choice we make, how we use resources, how we treat one another, how we interact with the planet, is shaped by the lessons of survival, ingenuity, and adaptation honed over millennia. The Ice Age is gone, yet its spirit endures. In our blood, in our imagination, in our stories and culture, the Ice Age warriors still live. The fire of courage they carried, the innovation they invented, the community they built, these are gifts we inherit. And as the planet faces new extremes, perhaps these lessons are more vital than ever. Because the Ice Age is not just a chapter in history, it is a guidebook, a warning, and a call to action. Look closely. Listen. Learn. The frozen past whispers its secrets. And if we pay attention, it may just save us. The Ice Age may have ended thousands of years ago, but its lessons, its challenges, and its wisdom remain. If these stories have stirred your imagination, if you feel the echo of frozen winds and hear the footsteps of mammoths in your mind, then carry these lessons forward. Share them. Learn from them. Live by them. Because in the end, the Ice Age is not just behind us. It is within us, guiding humanity through the storms yet to come. And so, our journey through the Ice Age comes to an end. We have walked alongside mammoths and saber-tooths. We have watched humans fight, create, imagine, and survive in a world sculpted by ice and fire. We have wandered through lost lands, heard the whispers of vanished civilizations, and peered into the minds of our ancestors. The Ice Age was not merely a chapter of Earth's history, It was a crucible, a forge in which humanity itself was shaped. And its echoes remain, in our stories, our courage, our ingenuity, and our very blood. If you've been captivated by this journey, and you want to explore more hidden corners of history with me, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring these stories to life and keeps our adventures going. So as you step back into your world, remember this. The planet is alive, ever-changing, capable of extremes beyond our imagination. And yet, like our ancestors, we are capable of adaptation, of creativity, and of enduring. The Ice Age reminds us that survival is more than strength. It is vision. It is community. It is courage. The glaciers may have melted, the giants may be gone, but the spirit of the ice warriors lives on. It lives in each of us. So carry their lessons forward. Face the challenges of your time with ingenuity. Tell stories that will endure. And never forget the frozen past that made us who we are. I am the Sleepy Doctor, and this is the story of the Ice Age, a story of survival, of wonder, and of humanity itself. Good night, and may the courage of the Ice Age be with you always.